So by structuring data more effectively, it's easier for people who need to understand regulatory data and who need to comply with regulatory data to find the rules that are relevant to them. Also, within rules and regulation, it's often the case that different pieces of regulation that are relevant to the same question are found in different parts of the rules and the rule books. So by structuring data in a way that it can be interlinked, you can make it far easier for users, and those users may be machines now, to find all the relevant content and not just the easy to find content. So I think for me, they would be the primary things. Well, regulators have two challenges now, particularly in the UK. One of them is obviously compliance with regulation, but the other one is increasingly they're being challenged to support growth by governments. So it's really critical to them to create regulation and rules in a way that the people who need to comply with them find it easy to find, use, and understand. So user-centered design helps you to understand how users are going to go and look for data, how they're going to interpret it, what formats and media they like to receive it in. But it's also really important to remember now that users can be machines and can be artificial intelligence. So you're not just looking at human user design, you're looking at design for all users. Well, for regulators who are creating rules and for organisations who are creating standards, you need to have tools that make it easy to update, and particularly with the complexity of regulation and rules, to update all the rules and all the times that a particular rule applies in all the different places it's found, particularly in a world now where users use multiple different media to access regulation. So by creating tools that make it easier for regulators and standard setters to update those rules and to make sure that the rules, that the kind of legacy rules, are also accurate and well structured, means that it's a much easier process for them to make the regulation available for those users and the different users that I've talked about. Well, now we find this at TSO, we're a regulatory publisher and a RegTech provider for regulators, and what we find is increasingly the people who access regulation, want to use regulation, want to do it in very different ways. So traditionally it was enough to have a book and then for that book to be online. Now people don't think like that, people don't all learn like that. People are used to interactive tools, even to things like gaming, to video. And so we find people want to develop content in a range of formats that encourage learning and not just reading. So understanding rules without just having to wade through a set of rules. Now, by using multiple tools that allow you to do that, which can be apps, which really are part of the e-learning journey, and other e-learning platforms, and by creating content in a format that's compatible with generic e-learning platforms, you can get those rules to the people who need them much more quickly, allowing them to find, use, and understand those rules more effectively. I think essentially it's about getting the opportunity to meet lots of different providers in one place and spark from some of the ideas they've got, to see the way that RegTech is going and see how that's changing year on year as you come to these events. But also hearing really insightful panelists talk about what the challenges ahead might be, and an opportunity to think and reflect about that while you're here.